stand-in host for the next 2 weeks since John got a strike, the bad guy. Anyways, just dumped off at the job site. He gets to work there to come talk to you about what we have been discussing. And folks, it has been a wild ride. Could get in a little bit of trouble with you guys here, but again, this is a thinking exercise. This is the Prepared Mind channel. So what I want to discuss is how widespread the frustration and anger is over what is happening in our world. It is not just a little bit. It is everything. It's, and I try and think back to America, the civil rights marches and movements and protests. That was a really big deal back in the 60s. That was big time protesting, but it was over a single issue. And it's an issue that today is completely being ignored. Well, in a lot of ways, a couple ways it's being ignored. In the 1960s, there was the call for equal rights, right? Black Americans were like, no, equality, equal rights. And that was the fight. That was the struggle, to be allowed to protest without being assaulted by police. And then to have your rights recognized by the government. Not just the right to protest, but your right to equality, to making decisions for yourself, to not having other people tell you what to do. Well, here we are today, over 50 years later, and there's no longer a push for equal rights. Now there's a push for special rights. Special rights for certain classes of people, and special new rights for the government. Now, folks, they don't want the government, right? It's not a servant of the people, it's a master of the people. Never before, I don't think, have we seen such a wide variety of people protesting. Now again, the 60s, those equal rights protests were largely, shall we say, manned by Black Americans protesting the inequalities, the injustices that were going on. And that was it. It was mostly in the South, I believe. That's where a big part of it was. And I don't want to speak over too much. I know that it was everywhere in the country. But now look at what we're dealing with. I want you to consider what we're dealing with. The injustice that's going on, the injustice, the inequality, because people are pushing for special rights. These special interest groups want special rights and special privileges, and government wants its special authority. Because remember, government doesn't have rights. Government has authority. We, the people, are natural. We have rights. Government has authority, but they're claiming special authority to lock us down, to tell us what to do, to say you have to take the Jim Jones juice. Now, not only are Black Americans protesting, not only are Native Americans protesting, not only are Asian Americans protesting, but it's also white Americans, it's old Americans, it's young Americans are protesting what's going on. It's not just single people, it's married people, it's people with children. They're protesting, folks, what's going on in the education system. Protesting that. And they're protesting that by what? Well, by holding pickets and also going to the school board meetings. It's a form of protest, right? And that is the First Amendment in action. And it's being thwarted. The school protest by not only the local school board, the teachers unions, but they've involved the president, the Secretary of Education, the FBI and the Department of Justice, and the Attorney General's office. And that is the government obstruction and interference with the First Amendment right by threatening people. That's just over education. Now, let's just start talking about cerveza bug, because we know that's at the top of the fucking list, right? Who's protesting that? Well, let's see. Black Americans. And when they're asked why, now, what's a form of protest here? Well, They claim there's a mandate when there really isn't. But by being, you protest, and then civil disobedience comes after protest in shall we say, SHTF times. So by refusing to get the Jim Jones jab that's mandated and being pushed and being jammed down everyone's throat, whether or not you're subject to the mandate at this time, you will eventually, because the government's not backing off. The Jim Jones juice mandate, it's being protested by black Americans, folks, because they're not getting it. Their refusal figures, the numbers of them refusing as a group, is higher than whites, right? So they're protesting by refusing. Whites are protesting by refusing. I am protesting by refusing. Old people are a group that is more prone to getting it because they have a belief system that government is good, because they come, and I'm talking about the boomer generation, my parents in their 70s and older, they tend to think, government's just doing what it does and we'll just obey, and, government good. And you get to my age group and younger, and there's less and less trust in government. So we're seeing a massive protest now. It's not just regular. You can break it other demographics. Airline pilots, truckers, teachers are refusing to take it now in groups. They're protesting. Police officers, postal workers, folks, right now, overnight, 300 Chicago PD were let go. Poof, gone. You don't want to take the mandatory jab? Well, they're saying no, civil disobedience, refusing, and never before in the history of this country have we seen government and corporations punishing people. That would be unfucking heard of 10 years ago and back. Okay, corporation, you want to go out of business? You start fucking with people's lives. Well, they're fucking with people's lives. Hey, you want to make people take something against their will? Then I'm not buying shit at your store. Fuck you. And folks, that's actually happening. Corporations are like, well, we're just going to get bailed out by the government anyway, so fuck it. We'll destroy ourselves. The same way big tech, high tech, super tech, whatever the fucking bullshit is, right? Social justice, network media people, they're destroying their own corporations by pissing everyone off, and they don't care. They don't care. This is going to get nastier and nastier. Policemen let go. Now, in response to that, them saying, you know what, fuck you, we're protesting. The police of Chicago. You're going to cause more crime to happen if you try and force us to do something against our will, because we're not doing it. Then you're going to have to fire us, and you're going to cause problems. Well, Mayor Beetlejuice Lightfoot dipshit Lori of Chicago has come out and used the I word against the police. You bet, folks, the government, through the mayor of Chicago, is telling government workers, right? Folks, this is not a minority of people, right? This is the police. This is the government protesting the government. Never before have we had this to this degree with so many subjects. So many subjects protesting government action. She's saying that the police are causing insurrection. Can you fucking believe that? The mayor is accusing the police of insurrection. She's ignoring court orders. The unions are fighting against this government. So what does that tell you? Let's see, socialist unions fighting socialist government mandates. Whether you call them social fascist or social communist, they're socialist mandates where government thinks it has the authority to tell you what to do in every aspect of your life. Unbelievable. The military, folks, right now is being protested not by people standing outside the gates calling them baby killers and harassing the shit out of veterans on the street and at airports, etc. Folks, this is the military protesting the military leadership, the demand that they get the Jim Jones juice, and it's 40% of the Marine Corps or thereabouts. The Navy is saying, we're going to discharge you. The Army is saying, we'll throw you in the brig and then we'll court-martial you. The Marine Corps is saying, we're going to court-martial you if you don't get the Jim Jones jab. And they're saying no. It's a huge form of protest. Never before have we had the military protesting the military. The police protesting the government. Teachers protesting on one hand and trying to mandate shit for students on the other. Parents protesting the teachers, the school boards, which they have control over. Well, they used to. And now the school boards are calling parents domestic terrorists. Are you fucking kidding me? Right? Are you kidding me? I think John and I need to go get a haircut. Our hair's getting kind of long. Anyways. It is off the hook, the amount of protest that's going on, folks. And here's the deal. With the heavy-handedness of government and social media, the fact that the FBI is threatening people, people are being threatened by their jobs. If you say anything, if you get out of line, if you make a scene, you're going to make us, the company, look bad, and we're going to fire you. Or, at the very least, you're not going to get that raise. You're not going to get that promotion. You're not going to get anywhere with this company because your political beliefs don't ally with ours. Now, normally we would say, yeah, well, the government's got bread and circuses to keep us distracted. That's right, bread and circus to keep us distracted. Well, what's going on? The fucking circus is protesting, folks. The players in the NFL and other pro sports are saying, you know what? Including the coaches, they're saying, no, not doing it, not taking the jab. We're protesting this shit. They're getting fired left and right. Pro sports, college sports, high school. The athletes are saying, fuck no. I wanted to give you a really kind of a taste that everything, all of the objections are protest. This video, Jim here sitting in the big seat talking to you guys, guess what? This is a form of protest that goes out over the whole world. Folks, it's not just America, it's Italy, it's France, it's Germany. It's the entire fucking planet. Yeah, and even China. China's had their protests against this horse shit. And it is horse shit. It's a fucking lie. All of it is a lie. But they want to destroy the military. They want to get rid of patriots. They want to lampoon us. They want to denigrate us. They want to put us down. They want to convince all of their constituents that we are bad people, using their divisiveness and then their demagoguery, and then they want us destroyed. We are what? Right? We're belligerent, anti-government. We're dangerous, they say. And so that's the excuse government uses to go, we have authority to stop you, because once again, that word insurrection, it came up during the Trump administration. It's like, hey, we've got protests, billions of dollars in damage being done by these protesters who are not mostly peaceful. And it's an act of insurrection to attack the government, right? The government wasn't violating Antifa's rights. Well, they thought they were. Their right to say and do whatever they want with no consequences. So the Insurrection Act was brought up under the Trump administration, and the Democrats said, whoa, great, what a great idea. We'll use the Insurrection Act. We'll call everything the Republicans do insurrection, while excusing themselves operating within government, committing acts of, at the very least, unconstitutionality, at the greatest, treason against the people for ignoring the Constitution, violating their oaths, and attacking us, treating us like the enemy, lying to us, using propaganda, using coercion, duress, false statements and lies to convince the people to do something against their will and against their rights. Government does not have a right, folks, to protest. Government doesn't have rights, it has authority. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say the government can refuse to do its job because it doesn't like the way it's being treated by the people. They have a right or the authority to put down insurrection, but they don't have rights. They have authority, and that authority can only be, shall we say, administered under strict guidelines. We have a big fucking problem in this country, folks. People are protesting everything that's being done, whether it's coming from the LGBT crowd, whether it's coming from the race baiting crowd, whether it's coming from the anti-military crowd, whether it's coming from big leftists, whether it's coming from globalist crowd, the environmental crowd, the money and finance crowd that's like, well, we seem to have squandered everyone else's money and stole it, so now we need bailouts. Unbelievable what is happening, folks. Unfucking believable. Like I said, the civil rights protest, that was a big deal. It was very specific. It was about equality. Equality, equal rights. And after that, what did we get? No discrimination. Now we're being discriminated against. You can't come into my restaurant. You can't come into my store, my business, says corporations as well as mom and pops, unless you surrender your rights. I remember the big deal over, well, can you enforce a dress code in your business and make people wear certain articles of clothing? Well, the answer was no, you can't require someone to take off their turban. No turbans allowed. No burqas. Right? No wearing masks. It used to be, folks, that wearing masks was illegal, right, in certain circumstances because you weren't allowed to do things anonymously. That's why bank robbers in the movies would wear masks, cowboys, bandits and shit. They'd hide their face so that they could commit crimes and get away with it. Now, they want us to do that. Not commit crimes and get away with it, but wear masks. Everything, folks, is on its fucking head. It's upside down, and it's not just about equal rights for one sector of the country. It's about all of our rights, all across the country, for all peoples of all races who want freedom and liberty. It's always, folks, been about freedom and liberty. All of these attacks are attacks against our freedom and liberty, and demands by the government for greater and wider authority that can be executed against us with no responsibility, no accountability, as they continue to lie and lie and lie. Folks, get prepared. You need food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and a plan. You need all these things. You do. You need them all. Because shit has hit the fan, and it's only going to get worse. Spoke with a friend last night, mainstream person, and without even asking leading questions, I was told by them how bad things are and how much worse they're going to get. Get prepared, folks. Also, plans. Understand the area you live in, what you need to do for your area, the people in it. Resources. How long do you need to have food, water, etc.? It's very important, folks, that you are prepared, because chance favors the prepared, right? Ask yourself, this is yours. Semper Fi, Godspeed.